I will give a little bit of a background as to what the channeling is and how it started so everyone knows kind of what's going on. Most channelings are the product of an arrangement or an agreement that has occurred somewhere in life or even sometimes before this life between the person who is becoming the channel and whatever level of consciousness or entity is being channeled. How that agreement is fulfilled is basically up to a series of different kinds of incidents or situations that put you in the proper circumstances to remember you made the agreement and to give you the ability to fulfill that agreement. Of course, how everyone gets there is different based on who they are, what kind of life they're living. Now, channeling fundamentally is a state that anyone can get into and everyone does get into from time to time. Anytime you're doing anything where you're totally focused, there's no doubt, no hesitation, you're doing what you really love to do, you're on a very high energy level, that really is the channeling state. When an actor is lost in the part, a singer is lost in the song, an artist is lost in the painting, they become the work as opposed to kind of being separated from it in their mind. That's really a channeling state, and it's the highest level of creativity. And you can access a lot of your own higher consciousness in that state. But it also seems, as we've learned over years, that in that state you can also access not only higher levels of your own consciousness, but potentially even other entities, other consciousnesses, either in other dimensional realms or different levels of spirit or what have you. And that seems to be what's happening here in this particular channeling. This began really about 21 years ago. I had two very, very close broad daylight UFO sightings in Los Angeles 21 years ago, both times an equilateral triangular shaped craft of dark metallic color. First time about 170 feet away, the second time only about 60 feet away. The craft was about 30, 40 feet on the side. After seeing something like that with the witnesses that were with me who all saw the same thing, and knowing that such a thing was a fact and a solid object, I began doing more research and investigation into the whole UFO phenomenon, and eventually ran across a lot of other metaphysical concepts, psychic phenomena, channeling, and what have you. 10 years after the UFO sightings, I was introduced to a channel who happened to be practicing at the time in Los Angeles, and the entity coming through that channel offered to teach at one point channeling for whoever wanted to learn that particular skill. I went into that class not so much thinking I was going to become a channel, I just wanted to learn more about the process. But the class was a series basically of guided meditations and mental exercises to make you more sensitive to other levels of consciousness, other levels of energy. And while in one of those very receptive states, I received what appeared to be a telepathic message from Bashar and his people. And also at that moment, the memory came back of having made the agreement to do this with him. And I also understood in that 1 second that the UFO sighting I had seen had been his ship, which he had shown to me at that point for the purpose of getting me to start looking in the directions I started looking in, so that by the time it came time to start the channeling, I would be ready. So all of that had been choreographed for that purpose. And the telepathic message basically in my head at that moment was, now you remember who we are, who you are to us, and you remember making this agreement. Is this still something you want to do? It was offered as a choice. It's not something that's ever forced on anyone. And I had to think about it for a while. I wanted to make sure I wasn't just hearing voices in my head. It wasn't just some hallucinatory experience. And eventually I got enough validation for myself to go ahead and continue to do the channeling, because I realized that the most important thing was, and this is what I really like to stress, especially for new people, is not that Bashar may or may not be real as an extraterrestrial entity. I have no way of proving that to anyone at this point anyway. The most important thing, and the reason I do the channeling, is because the information seems to have the ability to help us make the changes we want to make, very rapidly, very concretely. So for that reason, I continue to do the channeling, and I've been doing that now for the last 11 years. When Bashar comes through, he usually presents an idea that he feels is important for the group at this moment, and then he will, of course, turn it over to you for questions and answers. The bulk of this interaction will be you asking or discussing whatever subjects or questions you want to talk about, because that's really what it's all for, is to bring up the situations that you feel are important in life, and just to get his perspective from their civilization's point of view as to what kind of suggestions he may have to help you. These are only suggestions. He's not telling you what to do, but in their evolution, they've gone through a lot of this kind of stuff and seem to have an understanding and an overview of how these things can be changed very quickly in a very effortless and very fun way, rather than going through a lot of the pain and the struggle that we have had on the earth for quite some time. So take advantage of that, especially for new people. Don't hesitate to ask something on some subject just because you think it's a silly question, a stupid question, too personal. If you don't want to discuss something in front of the group, that's your prerogative. But don't hold back for that reason. He doesn't care what subject you talk about. He will usually find some way to give you the information you need and at the same time apply it to the rest of the group. So by all means, don't hesitate to do that, especially if you're new. The connection that seems to happen is basically a telepathic one. I go into an altered state wherein I'm changing the brainwave frequency that normally exists as my personality, and I'm making it something closer to his frequency where he is in his reality. He's doing the same coming in my direction. Somewhere those two brain frequencies meet, and when they synchronize, it creates literally some kind of a conduit between us through which he can then communicate. It's like we're vibrating in unison, and what you're getting here is a model of his thought patterns made out of the language that I was brought up to understand, which is English. He has come through in other countries now and then in the same form of telepathic channeled communication, and of course those people, it comes out in their language. He's not speaking English, he's not speaking anything at all. He's just sending thoughts, and it just gets translated through me. When I go into the altered state to allow the connection to be made, you will see a difference in my bodily position, my functions, and of course when he comes through, the personality will be distinctly different. None of what I'm experiencing is in any way, shape, or form painful, and I say that because sometimes people tell me I look like I'm going through a lot of pain to allow this transition to occur. It's just adjustments to the energy. My body is just reacting to a flow of energy that's different than what I'm used to. So you'll see those reactions, but nothing is painful whatsoever. I'm actually energized by the experience, very much more emotionally balanced by the experience. I've even gone into the channeling sometimes with colds and flus, and at the end of the channeling, I don't have them. So it's a very beneficial state of balance for me. So I'm having a wonderful time. Please don't worry about what's going on with me. What I do experience, however, is it's like falling into a very deep daydream. I know there's an interaction going on. I know he's talking to you about something. I don't hear the conversation. It's like having a daydream where someone walks in the room and calls your name, and you just you're zoned out. You just don't hear it. I'm so focused on the images I'm getting, the information's coming to me in a very different way. I'm getting pictures, I'm getting feelings, I'm feeling the energy directly, and it's overwhelming, and it's much, much more powerful than the words themselves that are a secondary translation. So that, to me, the words are very much in the background, and I really don't pay attention to them. It's just kind of like a buzz that goes by. And at the end, when I come out, it's like waking up from a dream. I really don't remember it. I remember bits and pieces of images, but it fades very much like a dream fades when you get on with your day in the morning. But as I said, it's very beneficial. It has lasting effects for me that are positive. I don't think there's anything else immediately that I need. Did you need to say something? No? Okay. That I need to tell you unless, yes?
Just maybe one question. Just to remind me.
Oh, okay, well, yeah. Bashar usually will handle the pacing of the conversations that you may have with him, but just as a courtesy to everyone, especially, we do have a few people here tonight, quite a few people. If you come up to the mic, try to focus on the single most important question or idea that you really want to talk about right now, instead of going to 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, just so we can get as many people up as possible, give everyone a chance to interact, because time goes very, very quickly in these encounters, and before you know it, sometimes we don't get farther than 10 questions, and 3 hours have gone by. So try to focus to one important question, give everyone a chance if you possibly can, but of course, Bashar will cue you as to what he thinks is important in the conversation, and if he feels there's some pickup, then you need to do it.
You mentioned 3 hours now. It's going to be about 2 hours.
2 hours, well, okay.
So that everyone knows,
Okay, yeah, a couple of hours. So anyway, the bottom line really is to have a very good time. The more fun you have with Bashar, the more fun he will have with you. You'll get used to how he interacts. Those of you that are familiar with him know that he is not shy. So be bold and speak up. Talk about what you want to talk about. It's all for the purpose of reflection. It's all for the purpose of fun and to open up some new points of view. Talk to him informally as you would to a friend. And just one last thing, the word Bashar is not literally his name. In their society, they're pretty much telepathic. They don't use names as such. It's an Arabic word, which is partly my background, and it was chosen for a lot of different reasons, but basically just because he knew we needed to call him something. And so he chose the word, and it basically means messenger. So we use it as his name, so when you talk to him, you can still say Bashar as his name, even though it literally is not so. Thank you very, very much for being here tonight. And have a good time. I'll see you all later. Now I'm going to sleep. I want to say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? We will once again extend to each and every one of you our deepest appreciation at being allowed to communicate with your civilization in this way at this time. We always experience great joy in being allowed to have these interactions. For these interactions always expand our understanding of all the different ways that the universe has of expressing itself as we interact with each and every one of you individually, and as we interact with all of you collectively. We are given an opportunity to see more and more and more perspectives and points of view about how creation has patterned itself to be. So we thank you for this gift, for this opportunity, this day of your time. We would like to begin this interaction with a few words on the ideas of what you call in your society limitations. Now, we have, for many, many of your years, as we have been communicating to your society, talked about the idea of dissolving limitations, and many of you have begun to hear from many different sources in your society the idea also of dissolving limitations, going beyond your limitations, expanding your notions of your consciousness so that you are not at the mercy of some of the negative limitations that you have created and set up in your society. This is all well and good, and going beyond your limitations, stretching beyond what you know to be true right now into new unexplored territory is all very beneficial for you. At the same time, while we are interacting with many of you and having these conversations about stretching beyond your limitations, we hear sometimes that some of you, in your idea or understanding of what it means to be spiritual, think that you have to go beyond all the limitations, that you have to dissolve every single one of them and detach yourself from physical reality completely, either literally by evolving beyond it in order to be a perfected spiritual being, or aesthetically by detaching yourself from the material things of society in order to show that you are very spiritual and are not seduced by the mundane attributes of everyday life. However, understand that there is a misunderstanding in this concept. Limitation has many positive effects. First of all, the idea in and of itself of experiencing a physical reality cannot happen without some degree of self-imposed limitation upon your consciousness. Physical reality is a discrete experiential dimension, and by not imposing certain kinds of restrictions on your consciousness, you would not be capable of focusing down to the degree that you have in order to have what you call a physical experience. because your natural state is an unlimited, totally expansive consciousness. So in order to crystallize yourself, shall we say, to materialize your consciousness in physical form, you do have to impose some set of limitations upon yourself in order to have that kind of reality experience. Now, also understand that in non-physical reality, then you are, in a sense, a thought form living in a world of thought form. And there is no concept of real space and time on that level, in the non-physical world. You are at one with the reality there. There is no segregation, no separation in these concepts. And as you think, as you conceive of a thing, it instantly manifests and you have the experience. Now, on some levels, many of you say, well, this sounds pretty good. I want to have a manifestation as soon as I think of it. But recognize something. You are beings of polarity, dark and light. And on some of those levels, it is still possible for you to experience many negative aspects of your total consciousness. And if you have a thought in that way of a negative thing, it instantly manifests. And you have to deal with it instantaneously. And so, creation was clever enough to have a reality wherein you have time lag, time and space, volume, some degree of segregation and separation that gives you, shall we say, a breather, a vacation from your instantaneous manifestation so that you do not necessarily always have to experience every little thing of yourself immediately, that you can ponder and wonder and investigate and explore and add rich diversity to the understanding of the processes involved, of the creation of yourselves, rather than having to instantly deal with every little thought that you have. So in that context, physical reality is very beneficial in giving you an opportunity to view the creation of yourselves in a time frame in which you can take your time, in which you can see things from a different perspective rather than simply immediately being overwhelmed by every little thought, every little idea. And in that context, physical reality and the limitations that are inherent in it are very beneficial. So do not be too eager to run away from all of your limitations. You can learn much in a very unique manner by letting yourself use the limitations creatively, using them in the same way that you use paint for a picture, to choose and pick, to understand, to explore deeply all the nuances and meanings of the meandering that you do in the myriad of ways that you have of looking at things and all the different perspectives and all the subtle details and all the time that may seem to take. The more you enjoy that journey you have created, the richer the journey will be, and you will not have to be so impatient to get through all these details. The more you use the details, the more you learn what they have to inform you of, what they have to offer you, then, paradoxically, the more accelerated you will become, because you'll be having so much fun on every little detail that comes up. You'll not be paying attention to the idea that something better has to come along. You'll be living in the moment, and that's how things accelerate. But, again, paradoxically, you will be truly fully using and savoring every little limiting detail, because it always comes like a seed with the potential for a great amount of blossoming information that can really enlighten you as to what kind of creator being you really are. For do remember, as many of your ancient texts do say, you are made in the image of creation. You are a creator being. You are a self-reflective, self-aware creator consciousness, and every little thing that you experience is totally, absolutely, and completely significant. There is no wasted time. There are no insignificant details. It is all a marvelous orchestration and choreography of creatorhood. Cherish it. Savor it while you have created it. It will all be capable of adding to the overall knowledge of yourselves and enriching the concept of what you are as spirits and as physical beings, because really in that context there is no difference. The greatest act, the greatest spiritual act that you can possibly have
is to live your physical lives as fully and joyfully and creatively as you possibly can. As long as you are physical, that is the greatest act of spirituality that you can accomplish. So, in light of this notion, do not be so eager to run away from the things that you don't enjoy. Jump in, dive in, explore why there are those fears, those pains, those doubts. They all have information to tell you about yourself, to discover about yourself, so that you can become, by integrating that information, the expanded being you were created to be. Do not fear your fear. Jump in. Fear is only there to tell you something you don't yet know about yourself. The only way it becomes unmanageable is if you ignore it, if you deny it, if you suppress it. Because it is a messenger knocking at your door. This is what you need to hear right now about yourself. This is the issue you need to deal with. When you ignore it, it knocks louder and louder and louder and louder, because this is the information you want to know, and it will not go away. It will only transform into a friend, into a messenger, if you invite it in. Do not be afraid of the things it has to tell you. It's all only going to be more information to let you know who you are. You will find that as soon as you invite it in fact, as soon as you even choose to amplify the fear to the greatest limits you possibly can in your imagination, it automatically puts you in control of the degree of fear in your life and allows you to extract the information contained within it instead of, as you say, being carried away emotionally by it, feeling that you are the victim of these energies, when in fact you are the one who has written the invitation, and it has only answered your call. So open your eyes and be conscious and conscientious of all the things that you consider to be painful in your lives. We are not saying you need the pain, but we are saying that if you do create the pain, don't ignore it. Invite it in, for when you find out why it's there, that's when it transforms into another energy that is far, far, far more enjoyable. Because it's all the same energy. It's all the same energy. You are only one energy, 100% one energy. When you change your pain, you're not getting rid of it. You're not getting rid of the energy. You're transforming the same energy of pain into the energy, the vibration, the frequency of joy. The pain, in that sense, has not really gone anywhere. It has just changed its frequency, its vibration. You are that energy. You are experiencing yourself when you feel pain. You are experiencing yourself when you feel joy. You experience pain, anxiety, doubt, hesitation, and fear when you choose to experience the energy of your consciousness through negative belief systems about your reality and about yourself. It's like a filter that converts the energy of yourself into the doubt and pain and fear that you feel. But the same energy, the very same energy of fear, is experienced as love, joy, and excitement when you filter that energy through the belief systems of positive understanding and creative acceptance of yourself. It's the same energy. You don't get rid of pain, you don't get rid of fear, because there's nowhere to get rid of anything to. It's all in you. There's no outside. You are it. You are a self-contained reality. So you have to change the energy that is yourself into what you prefer it to be. And the way you do that is by owning it. You can't change it if you don't own up to it. If you don't own something, you haven't the power in your mind to change it. But if you own the pain, you own the fear, you know that there are beliefs and definitions of life within you that are responsible for your attraction to yourself and interpretation of situations as painful, as fearful. Then get in touch with those beliefs, with those definitions, and in so doing can transform those definitions into the ones you prefer to be representative of your reality, and in so transforming them, you transform the physical reality, because physical reality is only the shadow of your soul. It is you. It is an extension of your consciousness. And it is not really outside you, and you are not really in it. It's in you. So, remember, you are creation. It is not that you were created and placed in creation. You are the Creator's creation. When you act in accordance to that knowledge, to that frequency of unconditional love, starting with yourselves, you experience the reality of unconditional love in your physiological lives. Only you make those segregations. So, there are those limitations that do need to be dissolved. At the same time, use the limitations that work for you to paradoxically accelerate yourself into a state of balance so that you love yourself as infinitely and unconditionally as creation does, and in so doing automatically operate on a frequency where it is easy and effortless and automatic to spread unconditional love among yourselves as well. This is our suggestion. You don't have to do it. It's your planet after all. We are not here to tell you what to do with your lives or your world. We have our own planet, our own lives. Thank you very much. We're very busy. We have no time to live your lives for you, operate your planet for you, run your world for you. We are, however, very happy to share what has worked for us and what might work for you if you allow yourself to understand that it can work for you and if you choose that it will work for you. That's up to you. Now, at this timing, once again, in return for the gift that you are allowing our civilization to experience through this communication, through this biological translation device you call a human being, we ask you now, in what way may we return the favor? In what way may we be of service to you at this time? You may begin with your sharings if you wish.
Bashar.
To you, good day.
Good day. Good evening.
All right, evening where you are, day where I am. Thank you very much.
I have a question. My son Jim lives in North Texas.
North Texas.
Yes.
All right, we understand the locale.
Okay, he appears to be a product of and an instrument of a group of ETs called UMO from planet M11. And they appear to be directing and helping him physically to get ready for what seems to me to be a catastrophic event.
Such as?
Well, they instructed him to buy land and to plant trees, and they actually planted trees for him one time when he woke up and found trees out on the land that he did not plant. But they told him that they would not tell him or show him in a hologram what was coming about because it would affect his actions and behavior.
Yes. Also, however, you must understand something else. To be specific about those kinds of things would not only affect the actions of behavior, but would also plant in the minds of humans that such a thing, such a catastrophe, as you call it, must be inevitable, which it is not. There are the potential for certain kinds of geological changes and weather changes upon your planet, and certainly you are seeing some of these around your planet now. However, many of the so-called predictions that have been made about catastrophic events have already been changed just because your people know that such things are possible, and by changing the vibrational energy of their collective consciousness have already rendered some of those predictions obsolete. So the idea of not telling the specifics is simply the idea of allowing the individuals on your planet, and perhaps specifically your son, to be prepared for the possibility of such things, to know that certain changes must take place on your planet and in the consciousness of your people, but not to be too specific so as not to lock down in your consciousness that these things must happen that way, because probable realities are just that, probable and not absolute. And many of these so-called predictions, in that sense, are sensing situations and circumstances that have a great deal of momentum or energy behind them, and they may seem likely to come about, but if that momentum and energy changes, they do not have to transpire. Now, the particular extraterrestrial consciousness you have mentioned is not exactly as many individuals on your planet have interpreted it to be. It is a portion of a collective, non-physical consciousness being, a collective group mind consciousness, and the names attached to it, the vibration, ummo, is only a representative vibration and not literally the name, so to speak, of that collective consciousness. It is not really literally interpreted in the way that many people on your planet have interpreted it as an extraterrestrial group of beings in a physiological sense. However, that's the way the mindset of your planet chooses to interpret many things like that. The basic foundational idea is that your son is in touch with a higher level of energy that is allowing your son to be in touch with his own higher levels of energy, to trust his instincts, trust his intuition, but at the same time know that nothing really is set in stone. At the same time, it is important to recognize, and this is really what is being said to your son, that alternate communities, alternate systems of behavior, alternate ways of doing things, of conducting business and interrelationships, personal and private and business, must change on your planet if you want to see the kinds of circumstances and realities on your planet that all of you say you want to see. So, the suggestion to begin these kinds of communities, to change the world in the way you want to see it be changed, to take responsibility and take action in these directions, will make all the difference in your world. And sometimes you will find that these predictions of catastrophe, while they may be probable realities, are told to people to get them to move in directions and take the kind of actions necessary so that if they do take those actions, then the prediction itself is wiped out. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Does that answer your question sufficiently, or address the subject to the degree that you find answers the situation sufficiently for you?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
I have a question about Ashron, and Daryl wanted me to ask you about the year 2027,
Yes.
and I also just have one little question about July 5th. My name is Merlin, and I'm here with Ashronette, and together we are Ashronel. And the name Ashron is the name that I've given to what I refer to as the, well, there was the message from Neomon about the act of sorcery of blending polarities.
Yes.
And the polarity of Merlin and Trad blending together and becoming one being,
Yes.
I've decided to name Ashron.
All right.
And then Ashronette is the polarity of Tradette and Roxanne.
All right.
And when you mentioned when I was here last time that Trad is sort of like my future self,
Yes.
but not exactly my future self,
Yes.
does that mean that the blending of me, when I met Trad, he was in a higher dimension,
Yes.
sort of like a ghost.
Yes.
And so, as that kind of a being, can Trad or has Trad actually like walked into my body, and are we?
It is not an issue of walking into your body. That does not happen in the way most of your people think. It is more an issue of what you said previously, that there is a blended vibration that is a reality unto itself that represents the future self idea,
So Trad and I are blending
thus becoming the future self idea.
the Ashron,
Yes.
and that would be I am becoming an Essassani then.
So to speak.
Ashron is an Essassani.
Well, in a sense, yes. It is of that vibration, although do remember, there are many, 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 many different groups of hybrid being in my time frame. They are not all Essassanian.
Well, when you take Trad, a Zeta Gray, and blend it with me, a human, then that makes Essassani.
It makes a hybrid. Not all hybrids live on the planet Essassani. There are many, many hybrid civilizations in my time frame.
Okay, then I'll say Sassani rather than Essassani.
Well, Sassani is also my people. specifically, in our language, our ancient language. Again, there are many worlds that contain hybrid civilizations in my contemporary time frame. But if you simply use the term hybrid, it will be more precise.
Okay, well, we'll just stick to the word hybrid then.
All right.
As I am becoming a hybrid, what should I do? Is there anything that you can recommend that I can do to, I mean, how do I cooperate with this, or?
By continuing to live your life. It is an automatic process if your intention is moving in the direction of simply acting on your joy.
Well, I seem to be somewhat aware of that concept.
Of course.
Particularly since you mentioned that the last time I was here.
Yes.
And so it would be correct to say that my future self is Ashron. That actually is.
In a sense, that is the future self vibration, yes.
And when we said that Trad is like my future self, he's not really my future self.
No, but he is a component of it.
But the blended Trad Merlin is my future self.
Yes.
And then when we get to the part of Ashronel, that's the blending of the male-female polarity, the
Yes.
Ashronet.
That is how that symbology would act out vibrationally, yes.
And so actually my future self as an androgynous being then is Ashronel.
It can be seen that way, although not every being that is blended in their male and female polarity necessarily is physically androgynous. But energetically androgynous, yes.
So there's no, other than just living my life as I go through, I mean, it's just going to happen automatically. There's nothing particularly.
Since your intention is focused in that way, you will attract to yourself whatever methodologies need to accelerate the process just in the synchronicity of your life as it unfolds by acting on your excitement at every moment, since excitement is the vibration of the highest self. And with regard to the time frame of 2027 in your history, future history to you, the idea, again, is that actual admission on an official basis to the Association of Worlds takes place as we read the energy of your planet in the year of your counting of 2037. 2027, however, is a time of high interaction between your planet and different members of the Association of Worlds. In effect, it is about the same thing, but it is not an official admission until 2037, as we read the timeline now. Now, this could fluctuate, give or take a few years on either side, but 2037 is the fulcrum point.
Well, on the back of your book, you say, by your year 2027, your world will be absolutely interwoven.
We understand what it says on the back of the book that was printed in your society.
Is that a correct statement?
What we have just told you corrects the statement.
Oh, okay.
That was misinterpreted.
Okay,
You understand? Thank you.
okay. Then, will there be the first public landing of a flying saucer on July 5th this year in Rachel, Nevada?
No.
No?
Thank you.
Can you say when there will be the first public
Thank
landing?
you.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. These things are in motion. There are windows of opportunity for wherein shall take place what you would call the true public landings. These are more likely than not to occur between your 1997 and 99th year of your present century rather than your present year. There are already landings from time to time that are witnessed by members of your society. In that context, you could say they are public. But we know how you mean that, and in terms of something more official, the potential for this is more between your 97 and 99th year of your present century, and absolutely within this window, by your year of 2011, 2013, this will have occurred as we read the collective energy now of your planet. Still not so far away, but not quite so close as your July 5th date of your present year. However, in your July month, there shall be set into motion certain events which shall help increase the likelihood and potentiality of the landings, of the physical interactions that will take place eventually on your planet within the next decade or so of time. And good day.
Thank you.
My question is private question.
Private question.
Yeah, well, I mean.
Do you want everyone to leave?
No. I mean, it's not so intellectual. It's very simple.
Well, doesn't matter. They are all important.
For me, yeah. I choose finally a writer to write my script, and I hope if that will be finally a script, and if he will write well, and how will be my 95th year, and if I'm supposed to remain in Los Angeles or New York. Thank you.
You are always supposed to go where you are most attracted to go. The idea to understand is that you will probably do a lot of traveling if you continue your writing, because you will be asked to go to different places to have different meetings. You will probably not spend a lot of time in just one place as we read your energy. The idea to recognize is now your present year of counting of 1995 is specifically the kind of energy, the cycle of energy, for the breakthrough and manifestation of projects that many of you have been working on for a long time, if you have remained true to your focus of energy. Now is the year in which most of you, at some point in your 1995 year, can actually finally realize a breakthrough and a manifestation of many of the projects you have been focused on for a few years. That is what this energy is all about. So if you maintain the focus, following and acting on your excitement in those things that you say are your joy, such as writing, then now is the time that you will be able to see that it will take you to all the important places and all the important meetings that will allow it to expand in the proper way. Decide whether or not it is of a similar vibration to the vision that is original with you. If you find that there is a discrepancy in the vibration between any other individual who becomes involved and your original vision of that project, then that is not the correct individual.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
It's Joy here.
Oh, all right. We are joyful as well.
Thank you, thank you. Bashar.
Yes?
I would like to lose weight.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
What are you waiting to do?
I think there is some adverse relationship between myself and my innards. I'm punishing myself.
And why are you doing this? For what purpose do you find that you need to punish yourself?
You always ask me these questions. I can't answer.
Well, they are
right
natural
away.
questions.
But I'm a teacher, and I'm supposed to be able to answer questions right away.
No, you're not.
Thank you.
You just have to know that you know them.
Okay.
Now, you are not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do anything. You just do what you want to do. When you start relaxing about what you think you're supposed to do, it will be easier for you to do many of the things you would like to do. And you will stop waiting to do them, and you will drop weight. Many times weight is simply, again, as we have said, collected energy that isn't going anywhere, so it has no choice but to convert into mass. Hang around until you decide to do something with it. Then when you get moving, it converts from mass back into energy, and you drop the weight. Or sometimes it can act as a buffer to protect you from things you believe you need protection from.
Good
Or
point.
sometimes it acts as a grounding symbol, because if you feel that your power, if given over to, will be too high for you to handle, you add weight to ground yourself so you won't float away. But basically, you need a little destructurization in your mindset about what you should and should not be doing. And in destructurizing yourself, you will lighten up.
I like that, Bashar. And I've made this the year to follow my excitement. And
Make it the moment
The
to follow
moment.
your excitement. And then you will have a year full of such moments.
And my chest and heart that we talked about last time, it's improving and with the children.
Yes.
But the relaxation, Bashar, and I think I'm also protecting myself from men.
Ma'am,
So,
all right.
but it's not fun.
All right. Why are you afraid of men?
Maybe because I've been harmed.
All right. We understand how those patterns can be created in your society. But again, use it as an opportunity. In no way, shape, or form are we saying that this is a validation of the perpetration, but use it as an opportunity to get in touch with these issues of fear, because these issues of fear are more deep-seated than the event that you are connecting them to. Those events occurred to put you in touch with the fact that those deep-seated issues of fear were already there, so that in getting in touch with them, you can redefine them. Find out what you prefer to be. Find your feminine strength and your masculine strength. Let go of the definitions that society has spoon-fed you, so that you can create a balance for yourself wherein you know that vulnerability no longer has to be seen as weakness and victimization, but that vulnerability is total openness to the strength and ultimate power of infinity, and be balanced in that way. These are the avenues to search in.
If this starts out early in life with incest as a child in
Yes.
one's family,
Yes.
is
You must
this-
go back to that moment. Go back to that moment energetically, where you felt powerless, where you felt anger, where you felt fear, where you felt unloved. You must re-experience that energy in full, glorious Technicolor fear. You must bring that vibration back into your reality. You must make it present, for only in the present can you change things. The longer you keep it at bay and are afraid to bring it into the present because you don't want to feel it, because it's painful, because it hurts, because you don't like it, the longer it will remain in the matrix of your consciousness. Bring it into your present, knowing you are equal to it, absolutely equal to it, because you are an infinite being of total power, because you are made in the image of the infinite. So, let yourself flow with it. Bring that feeling of powerlessness and anger and fear and sorrow and sadness and loss fully into the present, and in re-experiencing it, you will be experiencing it anew, truly in that moment. And then in that moment of acceptance, then you can forgive, you can transform, you can recognize that the only reason individuals on your planet would perpetrate such things on other individuals is that they are also locked in fear, because the same kind of things happen to them too. You understand? It takes a
Yes.
victim to make a victim. So, stop the spread of that dis-ease. Inoculate yourself by bringing yourself into full presence with that experience. Face the carrier of that disease. Face the vibrational contagion. Transform it into the energy you prefer it to be. Feel the love you would rather have felt. Feel the power you would rather have felt. Feel the anger and say the things you would have rather have said in anger if you could have been allowed to. Then, by getting it out of your system, you will free yourself of that old energy pattern, and you will be left in a limbo state where it is up to you to decide what kind of energy of love and power you would rather feel yourself to be. But you must bring that energy into the present before you can change it. Don't be afraid to do so. It will be transformable. If you choose to bring it into the present, then you are in choice and in control. You can transform it, but you must go through it. Breathing will help. Deep breathing will help bring up a lot of issues, a lot of ideas, put you in touch with your innate power of electromagnetic consciousness energy, and allow you to sail more smoothly through that transition. Because remember, it's the same energy. The energy of fear will be the energy of joy. It's the same energy. Does this help you?
Yes, Bashar. Thank you.
Our love to you.
And mine too.
Hey there.
And good day to you.
Hey there. I know only supposed to ask one question, but I do have two.
All right.
Okay, and I don't
We
want.
shall issue a writ of proclamation granting a dispensation so that you may alter time and space and move heaven and earth and be allowed to ask 2 questions.
Thank you all.
You are welcome.
Okay, the first one is, are there any spirits that's attached to me that is impeding my success
No.
of my ideals for financial future in this
No,
lifetime?
no,
Who?
no.
Why? Where? When?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
There are no spirits attached to anyone. There are only vibrational realities, vibrational interactions, and vibrational relationships that are interacting with you that take your cue from the vibration you give off.
Okay, that's like what you were saying earlier.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
great, got that. Okay, and this second one, why do I dream of funerals?
Funerals.
Yes,
What is your fascination with transition and death?
I have none at all. Don't even want to be bothered.
Then what is your fascination with it?
I have no answer. I have no explanation. I have no fascination. I have a fear.
That's what I said. What's your fascination with it? Why are you attached to it by fearing it?
Okay, okay.
What are you afraid of? The end of yourself?
No, I'm afraid of going to them.
Going to who?
Funerals. I don't like going to funerals.
Why?
Because, oh, okay, I know why. Just like you was telling her. My mom would use those, my adopted mother, or maybe my grandmother,
Yes.
would use those as I was a child to help me learn my ABCs and how to count. And
How so?
How so?
Yes. How
we-
did she do this?
She would, like, we would go to a funeral of one of her friends of some sort, and then she would say, if you don't learn your ABCs, I think she would say the person would rise up out of the casket and get you, or I'm going to take you to another funeral and things of that nature.
Interesting and
Yeah.
fascinating methodology of teaching. No judgment intended, but only on earth. Pay attention to this, if you will, for a moment.
Okay.
Are you listening?
Yes, and writing.
All right. Now, no disrespect to that woman who taught you that. No disrespect at all. No judgment. However, we will say it this way. It sounds like you are already in the hands of death. The teacher was already, in that context, far more dead than any body in a casket. That is what you are afraid of, is the energy she imparted to you. Not from the casket, not from the dead being, not from the body, not from the concept of death in any way, shape, or form, but her fear imparting to you, that fear, impressing upon you that fear. You died over and over and over and over again, and she killed you. Over and over and over and over again, by using fear tactics to get you to do what she thought you should do. So, you don't have to be afraid of death because you've already died. The idea is that if you face this fear, you will come alive by recognizing that it was only her fear that allowed her to say those things in that way, to control, to dominate, to make sure that you would follow a certain path. You must get in touch and bring back into presence the idea that those communications were her fears. Now, you yourself, simply must get in touch with, or create in your imagination, a conversation with her in your mind, as fully as you can, as energetically as you can, as emotionally as you can. And when you hear her telling you, if you do not learn your ABCs, I'll have that body rise up and come to get you, hear yourself say back, grandmother, or whatever you wish to call this being, who taught you to be so afraid of life that you can only talk of death? and control. Have this conversation between your spirit and her spirit, and see that that spirit will give you very different information. Information that knows it was scared as a person, but it wasn't the intention to harm you. The intention was love. The person didn't know how to go about it, was never taught how to go about it in a loving way. And in having that conversation, free yourself from the casket that she built around you. Come alive. You resurrect from your grave. That's the issue. What you are afraid of is not the funeral out there. What you're afraid of is that you're already dead and buried. So come alive. You understand?
Yes,
Does this help you?
greatly.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you again soon.
All right.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
I'd like to know if I've been in any communication with ETs. If so, who?
In 25 words or less?
Your choice.
The answer to the first question is yes. The answer to the second question may come after we have a little bit more in-depth dialogue with you. What kind of experiences do you feel you have had already, especially with regard to what you might call dream encounters?
Yes, it is dream encounters. And on occasion, I've seen lights, very difficult to sleep. And during the dream state, I will wake up at various moments thinking something's there, but not
Yes.
realizing what is there.
Is it difficult for you to go to sleep?
On many occasions, yes.
Is it difficult for you to be in the dark?
No.
Do you frequently have what you call UFO or extraterrestrial dreams?
Sometimes. Not many times.
All right. Do you find that some of your dreams contain some of the following scenarios? You are being pursued, or are involved in some kind of escape and or rescue scenario?
On occasion.
Do you remember any dream scenarios wherein you feel you are immersed under liquid or water of some sort, and either suffocating or finding that you actually can breathe underwater?
No.
Do you remember any kind of blue energy surrounding you in a dream?
On occasion.
Do you have many flying or floating dreams?
Many flying dreams.
Do you ever imagine yourself in large gatherings of people in what might be called some form of either large conveyance or in large amphitheater or hospital-like settings?
No.
One moment. How do you feel about medical practitioners?
Fine.
How do you feel about medical equipment?
I don't have any problems with it.
All right. One moment. Do you have any instances of what you would call missing time?
On occasion, and one time I went through, I was driving and I went through something, and it seemed like it was very slow motion.
All right.
For about 30 seconds.
Have
as I
you
was
ever
driving.
seen lights in your physical reality that you could not explain?
Yes.
One moment. What is your physiological name?
Michael.
Full name?
Michael Siren.
There is a roster, as you call it, of individuals who have certain kinds of interactions on certain kinds of levels, and your name is listed therein. These have been ongoing for quite some time. Most likely you had a few occurrences prior to your adolescence, but it seems they may have accelerated during your adolescence, perhaps 12 and 13, maybe 15. Years of age might have been stronger acceleration of these interactions and encounters in that dimension of experience with that extraterrestrial species who are conducting that particular research agenda. You understand?
Yes, I do. And who may this be?
The nomenclature basically is referred to on your planet as the Greys.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes, I do.
It is a faction of that particular grouping. There is, or are, many different kinds of agendas to the overall program, many different levels to it. One moment. Do you find in your dreams that you are ever in any kind of classroom situation? Learning something, being taught something, being
No.
shown some images?
No,
Do you remember ever seeing the idea of dreams of catastrophic events?
not at all.
One moment. But you remember the concept of the either escape and or rescue scenarios.
That's correct.
Are there ever any individuals in those scenarios with you that you recognize in physical life?
No,
Are there any that you feel that someday you might recognize in physical life?
it's possible.
Do you feel that way?
I couldn't really answer that question.
All right, one moment. You also have, reincarnationally speaking, ancient Orion connections. You understand this context?
Yes,
And part of that is responsible for the creation of some of the agenda that is going on with regard to your involvement with this species. It is like the completion of a cycle for you that you have agreed to participate in that particular program of the overall agenda, and it is connected to your ancient Orion cycles of what you think now you need to learn to be of service and create balance in your soul's growth. Does this make sense to you?
yes, it does. And one last question. Is this a reason why I feel drawn here to the Las Vegas area and I'd like to relocate here?
Yes, it is a very strong vortex of Orion energy.
Does that mean I will permanently relocate here?
It means that you may be there for quite some time, but you will also find that there are going to be a number of bases that eventually individuals will interact between who have this particular kind of energy connection.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Has this been helpful for you?
Good evening.
And to you, good day.
The last time we spoke, my first time was last time you were here, you led me to believe that I had had experiences with aliens
Nice.
and that...
Many of you have, at this time on your planet, many of you have. Most of you do not remember because most of these experiences take place in other dimensions of reality that your physical mentality cannot process properly.
I wondered if it had been in this lifetime that I
Yes.
had been, and I would like to know what, who, and how, and what...
Similar to what we have just discussed.
Oh,
Again, there are a few levels to these agendas. Most of them, of that particular kind of interactive agenda involve basically one species that has many different factions therein. It is similar with you as well.
so has it made me stronger, or make me fearful, or make me just me? I think...
Can you answer the question yourself?
Well,
Is
I think
there
I'm a little.
fear?
I think I'm a little fearful.
All right.
Because I know they're there.
All right. What
And
is
I
the
tell-
fear?
and
What
I
is the
just-
fear? What is the fear?
I just tell them to go away. I don't want to see them.
All right.
And
How
it's-
can that make you stronger? How can you use your fear to allow you to become stronger?
Tell them that I'll go ahead and see them. No,
Ask for conscious interaction.
conscious.
Conscious.
That means I really see them and everything.
Oh, yes. But it will also give you the control that you seek.
Okay.
And
I've been
you
feeling
will
that
be on a
lately.
more
That I
equal
want.
basis.
I've been feeling that lately. That I've been saying it's okay. I'm ready for you, but I haven't really consciously said it. But
Then step across the threshold.
yeah, so it'll be okay to see him. Okay. My son is my 12-year. He's going to be 12. Is very aware of all this.
Yes.
I mean,
Most
he has
of
a-
your children are.
They are. They're unbelievable. I know
They
they're here
are
to
quite
teach me.
believable.
Yeah. And he's very scared of sleeping because he doesn't want them to come get him.
We understand.
Should I have him sleep with us Or does it?
You can do anything you wish, but I would suggest a program where you have a discussion of the understanding of how to get in touch with your own laughter, your own joy, your own unconditional love of yourselves, and use that energy like a flame. Brighten that light within yourself to become an equal vibration to those beings so that you can ask for conscious interaction on your equal terms. That's
Okay.
part of the reason why it's happening.
Okay. And one other thing, and this is my
Yes.
last question. This has been so helpful. I've been told I should change my name to Elena instead of Vivian, that it would give me a higher level. Do you feel that?
You had that name many times.
Oh, is that why it seems so familiar?
Yes. In many incarnations you have had that name, and that is the recognition that is being given to you. You can do that if you feel it is appropriate. You don't necessarily have to, but since you obviously already think of yourself in that way, it is perhaps a good idea that you match your vibration. But that will be up to you. But you have had that nomenclature many times in many incarnations, are familiar with it, and perhaps it may allow you to feel a little bit more at home with yourself, if you wish.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Hi, this is my first time,
It is my first time speaking with you as well.
but I also wanted to thank you for reminding me of my connection,
All right.
with the higher consciousness.
All right.
I have a lot of energy, and sometimes that energy really prevents people because it comes off, I guess, I don't know what it is, but where I can't really acknowledge love or accept that people really love me because of the relationship that I had with my mother.
Oh, all right.
And I understand that relationship now, but my mother passed away about 7 years ago.
Yes.
And it was at her death that I understood the relationship because we had a very stormy, hate kind of, love relationship,
Yes.
which I think is what prevents me from accepting,
All right.
from other people.
Go ahead and cry. You are changing right now as you do so because crying is releasing.
I
You're
do a lot of
releasing
that.
old paradigms.
Like that's why I think I have so much energy because I cry a lot, but there's still much more there.
You are all complex psychological consciousnesses. You have a lot of things to transform.
And
Only because you have all compartmentalized yourselves to such a degree. You have created so many details to deal with within yourselves that it takes a long time to process all these different details. But that's all right. Let yourself know that whatever pace you travel at is perfect for you. If you wish to accelerate the pace, just learn to love yourself first more. Now,
How
the
do I
idea,
do that?
All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. First of all, do you feel that you are capable of accepting love on any level at all?
Yes.
She said hesitantly. What level would that be?
From my children, it's easier because they're my children. I don't know if that's, but...
You don't have to qualify it.
Okay.
Do you accept the love of your children unconditionally?
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
So you know what it feels like to receive unconditional love.
Oh, yes. Yes. I know
All
what
right.
it feels like.
All right. The only reason then, since you have a shining example of that in your life, the only reason you would not be able to express that in other areas or experience it from other areas is because you have this idea in your head that it's supposed to come from those areas. None of it comes from them, not even the love that comes from your children that you feel comes from them, it comes from you. You have to create the feeling in yourself, in your own energy, of unconditional love, out of your own energy, in order to feel it coming from someone else. You understand this? This
Yes.
is physics. This is physics. You are your own energy. You are your particular expression of the energy of the infinite. You are made of unconditional love, vibrational consciousness. That's what your essence is. So anytime you allow yourself to feel it, it's because you're allowing yourself to feel your true self, the true fabric of your existence itself. So it comes, the feeling comes from you because you allow yourself to be in touch with your truth, with your true self. So even when your children give you unconditional love, the only way you're capable of feeling it, of experiencing it, is by simply allowing yourself to feel the energy of unconditional love that you are made of.
Well, when
So-
you don't allow it, why is that?
Because you choose not to. That's what you have to get in touch with. It isn't that you need to learn how to receive love or send love. You have to get in touch with why you would choose not to experience the love that it is there to experience. You have to get involved with those issues of why you would choose not to feel it. You understand the difference?
Mm-hmm.
So, with regard to the idea of your mother or anyone else in your life or so on, anyone else you've interacted with that you say it's difficult to feel this love, it's because you're simply not allowing yourself to choose to feel the love. It has nothing to do with them. Feel it. Feel all the love you want because you are capable of feeling it. You don't need another reason to feel it. You don't need someone to validate it. Just feel it because you are capable of feeling it. Be happy because you are capable of being happy. You don't need a reason to be happy. You don't need a reason to deserve to be unconditionally loved, to feel the feeling. Feel it because you want to. Then, simply recognize that there may be communication issues, there may be belief system and definitional issues that perhaps could be more aligned to that energy of unconditional love, but it doesn't prevent you from experiencing it because you have all the capability that was given to you by the infinite to feel the true self that you are. So feel it anytime you want. And don't make it an excuse that someone else has to act a certain way before you're capable of feeling that energy. Because it doesn't come, in that sense, from them anyway. That's a validation issue, which you can explore completely aside from allowing yourself to simply feel the unconditional love. And if you allow yourself to experience the unconditional love, it'll be much easier to explore that issue whereupon you might have a belief system that talks about lack of validation. You understand this?
Some.
Some.
I have to ponder it.
Oh, well, all right, if you insist. You can ponder as much as you wish. All we are fundamentally telling you is that if you know how to feel an energy or have ever felt any energy in your life at any time for any reason, that energy is real in and of itself and creatable in the moment for its own sake and does not need a reason to be created other than you can do it. That's what it means to be self-contained. It doesn't mean that you don't need anyone, you can't have anyone in your life. It's not what it means, that you'll never have relationships. But what it means is you are created fully as a self-contained being that is made of the vibration of unconditional love and can feel it anytime he or she wishes. Does that help you?
I also wanted, with my mother,
Yes.
because she passed away, I got there right when she had died, like minutes before she died.
Yes.
I wasn't able to, I didn't know she was going to die.
Yes.
And I wasn't able to really communicate with her. And it's like, is there a way I can communicate with her now?
You have just done it. You don't think she doesn't hear you? Remember that on the spirit level, there is no barrier of space and time. What may appear to be a separation and a loss and a barrier to you, to her, you're coming through loud and clear. Loud and clear.
So is there a way that I can know she's okay?
Yes, of course, there are many ways that you can know. Have you had any dream experiences or conversations with her?
Yeah, I always have dreams about her.
Well, what makes you think those aren't real communications?
Okay, that's her way of communicating, and it's through my dreams.
One of the easiest ways to communicate is through what you call dreams, because very often in what you call sleep, you are astral and out of your body and in the spirit realm where they now exist. And so you're having real communications. You wake up reconnected to the concept of physical reality and say, oh, that was just a dream. But you are actually out in the spirit realm in that dimension having a real conversation.
How do you break your connection with your dreams so that you're not always caught in your dreams? You know, like
there are many,
in the
many
morning-
methodologies to become lucid and conscious in the understanding of your so-called dream. There are many ways. One way is to allow yourself, upon going to sleep, to make a statement that you will remember that you are dreaming when you are dreaming and ask your guides for assistance so that When they come into the conversation, ask them in, invite them into the conversations you have in your dreams, so that at some point they will tell you or show you something that you will know, that will jar you to know it couldn't possibly be physical reality that you're in.
Okay.
And it will wake you up in the dream. That's one way. There are many ways. Use your imagination, but ask for assistance. Your guides will help you remember.
Okay, thank
And
you
the
very
more
much.
you ask, then they will be able to assist you, but recognize that you have to do it yourself too.
Okay.
There are many ways. One good way is to allow yourself to focus on an object, perhaps a portion of your body, that will be with you in your idea of yourself in astral form, such as your hands, something you would naturally see, and condition yourself so that every time you see your hand, you will remember that you are dreaming. You understand? That's another way. Another way is to get it out of your system and physicalize it, perhaps by writing it down 500 times on a piece of paper and hanging that in your bedroom over your bed or something so you can see it. So as you're drifting off to sleep, you're looking at your ceiling. I am dreaming, 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 until it becomes so second nature that you then, by having written I am dreaming, or I will wake up in the dream, I will wake up in the dream, will eventually incorporate that idea into your essence, so that while you are astral, you will finally automatically say, I will wake up in my dream, and then all of a sudden you will. There are many ways. Trust your imagination, but ask for assistance. It will be given to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
How do you? Good day.
How are you?
Perfect, and you?
I have been crying ever since you came into Darrell. And
Oh, well, how exciting. What are you letting go of? What are you discovering?
all I know is that it seems like all my life I have been tied into energies that cause me to cry all the time. My mother said when I was 2
Yes.
that we would watch a movie and
Yes.
the feelings, when it was sad or,
Yes,
I would
yes.
cry.
So you're
at
an
the top
empath.
what is that?
Empathy.
Oh,
You
okay.
understand? You are an
Yes.
empath.
Okay.
You are sensitive to the vibrations of other people and circumstances and situations, and easily incorporate that vibration within your own matrix.
Is that good?
Are you a healer?
Very much so.
Well, that's why you are an empath. Now, you can learn to regulate this, but it's all right if you feel it. It's like going on a roller coaster ride. It's like training your vocal cords to get in touch with different emotional states so that you have an easier way of, shall we say, relating to the people that you serve, that you heal. Make sense?
Yes.
But you can allow yourself to balance this out a little more so that you do not have to, as you say, fall apart at the seams. Each and every time some little wave of energy passes your direction. Allow yourself to utilize those portions that allow you to feel balanced, that allow you some insight into other individuals. You are simply junctioning with them so that you can relate to them by feeling their vibration and knowing who they are so that you can help them. You understand?
Yes.
But at the same time, you can also tell yourself and know yourself as being more transparent to the energy so that from time to time, that which does not really serve you can simply pass through you like light through a window.
Is this why from 85 to 87 I was hospitalized, and I want your feedback on mental illness. I was hospitalized for 2 years, 4 consecutive times.
Yes.
And since 87, I never took medication. I have never been sick.
Yes.
And is that why
It is for the purpose of allowing yourself to get in touch with, again, certain states of mind, certain states of physical health, so on and so forth, so that you would refamiliarize yourself with those states and also get in touch with how you can help change those states in a more beneficial and natural manner than many of your medical professions at this present time do.
Yes, yes.
Also, the idea, what you call, in many cases, your mental illness, sometimes they do become a series of locked cycles that individuals get stuck in or stick themselves into and perhaps find difficulty in getting out of. But basically that all stems from the fact that they are originally in touch with energies that your society has not prepared them to process within themselves because your society denies the existence of those energies. So 80% approximately of individuals who are in your mental institutions are simply there because because they have gotten in touch with a dimensional experience that your society has no way of accepting or processing.
Wow. That's great. I also wanted to know, I know I'm a healer, and I would like to know maybe my past carnations and who I am now. What does this mean for me in this life?
Well,
and
are
my
you healing?
future? Yes, I'm healing me. That's what I'm doing right
Yes,
now.
but sometimes you can also heal yourself simultaneously while you are providing an atmosphere that allows other people to heal themselves.
My excitement and passion is healing other people, and I do it very naturally.
Yes, well then.
That's what I'm doing.
Well, all right, then you are healing yourself in the process as well.
Do you know what I did in past lives?
You have had Atlantean lives, and you have had European lives in which you were a physician, in which you dealt with healing many times, but you also dealt with music because you understood that vibration is healing. In many times, you have had a passion for music. There have been many lives for all of you. Or, shall we say more precisely, there are many lives going on for all of you, because these are actually multidimensional simultaneous experiences, not really in the past or in the future. Those are simply parallel tracks in the holographic structure. But in many of those lives, you have explored the concept of vibration from a variety of directions, including being a musician, as we have said. You also, in some of these lives, have experienced what you call the Orient and powders and herbs in Tibet and China, with regard to the rebalancing of the energy flow of the body and so on and so forth. You understand?
Yes. I'm doing it again.
Yes. You have a tendency to use the things that work for you. And there is much, much bleed through from one life to another life, from many different probable realities to other probable realities. Many of the things that occur in your imagination are actually bleed through experiences that are going on in other lives. That's for all of you. And the experiences you have in this time track bleed through to other time track lives and give them certain benefits that come across in their imaginations or inspirations.
Wow.
You are a multifaceted, multidimensional being that is coming and going simultaneously. You are, in that sense, not just superconductive, you are hyperconductive, going in both directions at once. Does this make some sense to you? Does it strike a chord within you?
In all directions.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I love you very much.
Our unconditional love to you as well.
And your words are so wonderful.
The vibrations are only reflections of yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Shivai, my friend.
And to you, good day, Shivai.
I wanted to ask you a question about the little girl that I saw on Esasami.
All right.
She's a very pretty little girl, and she gave me a book.
She says thank you.
Okay. The only problem is I don't remember the book.
Yes, but we already talked about this to some degree.
Okay.
Did we not?
Yes.
Well, do you remember what was said about that?
No, and I cannot lie.
Why not?
Well, I could, but it's not very pleasant.
Well, by all means then, it must be the most important thing you need to remember.
Well, the reason I asked about the book,
yes,
I was wondering if it had anything to do with September 15th and the energy gate that's coming up.
There is a chapter in there on that, yes.
Then it would be relative to the face-to-face seminars which you are going to do.
It has some relationship to the seminars that we will be conducting that prepare people for the upcoming face-to-face encounters, yes.
Okay.
What is so, if I may ask, unpleasant about this?
Oh, there's nothing unpleasant.
You said something was unpleasant.
Oh, I don't know what I was thinking of when I said it. I didn't mean that. It's very pleasant.
All right. When we talked about the idea of you not remembering what was in the book, or what we had talked about,
yeah,
you indicated that there was some unpleasantness.
No, not. The only thing that I found unpleasant was I couldn't instant recall. I don't know what was in the book. I can't
what do
read
you
it
think is in the book?
word for word.
What do you think is in the book? Remember that it's not a literal book anyway. It was an energy symbol of information. What do you feel the information contains?
Right now, at this moment?
No time like the present.
Triangle.
All right, what about the triad?
Well, as I understand the triad, it's Essassani, Earth, and Sirius.
Sirius is to recognize the progression of your consciousness into its higher states of being, and to reflect from that higher state back down to the state you are in now, the potential of your own future selves, so as to become that future self, to embody that future self in the present, to blend.
Fluid.
Yes, fluid, yes. To become more fluid.
A blending of all.
Yes. A blending of all you are.
A blending of all I am.
Yes. And to function that way. Is there still something in your life that you would love to do that you haven't begun to do yet? What remains?
Well, I don't believe there's anything that I couldn't do if I made my mind up to do it.
We understand that, but is there some specific thing that you would like to do that you have not begun yet to do? That you could be doing?
Yeah, work a little closer with the Zetas. Like my little friend Ethel.
Let me make a suggestion.
Okay. Please do.
There are devices that you could be building. There are physical things you could be building, constructing, playing with. Do you ever do this?
I have played with that thought for the last couple of weeks.
Playing with the thought is not enough.
Yeah.
Start constructing some of these things and find out what the physical act of construction will do to your energy.
Well, the device I had in mind wouldn't do anything with mine, but it would attempt to destroy another.
The idea is to recognize that by constructing anything, you will change yourself. Now, if you do not prefer to send that energy to another, then recognize you are sending that energy to yourself first. You understand?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
But you can get in touch with devices that are not representative of destructive energy and start playing with them, as you did in Atlantean times. Bring that you back, but in a non-destructive context.
You mean like sleeping with magnets on my head and
not so much the idea
like
of that, although that can be part of the play. But we are actually talking about getting your hands on shapes and forms and different materials and start piecing them together in an intuitive and instinctive way. The act of doing that will actually vibrationally put you in touch with surprising things. Go with the flow.
Okay.
You need to play like a child with blocks and shapes.
Blocks. When I did, it's a very short story. My wife thought I was going nuts one time because I was sleeping with magnets on my head. I was taking magnets to bed. I was looking at this, trying to make a wheel with magnets.
Yes.
Just so it would run and run and run and run and run.
Yes, and why did you stop?
Because everybody started saying, "Hey, wow, man, you're getting far out." I'm serious.
Yeah, the idea is to become more like Sirius.
Well,
Sirius energy would not care that other individuals who are not you might think that you are crazy.
yeah, well, it was the same individuals that one night I had to come home to a dinner party, which I had forgotten, and I had gotten lost for 5 hours during one afternoon and didn't know where in the hell I was.
Yes.
And
Well, if
everybody
you do
looked
not
at me.
if you do not act on these things that are dying to come out of you, you are lost.
Oh, they're dying to come out of me, all right.
Then
But
let them. Let
it's-
them. Let them.
Oh, I think my wife would probably argue with me with you because of the fact that when they come out, they really shoot out. And she says, "Whoa."
The only reason that there may be an erratic energy to it, is that you're simply not flowing in balance because you are hesitating to truly be your real self. The idea is to simply know that you are an inventor and an inventive, creative, individual energy. If you are willing to be the total energy, it will automatically balance in the triad fashion. It is only that you are not allowing yourself to be the total energy that you find there is erratic behavior in the dispensation and dissemination of that energy through you.
Okay, well then where did I make the mistake with the Khandra?
It is not a
Khandriana?
mistake. It is simply that you bought into belief systems that have nothing to do with your true soul self. And you are attempting to incorporate those into your physiological personality, which then acts as a straitjacket and binds the energy flow of your true self, and only allows you to leak here and there in an erratic fashion.
Okay.
So,
May I
go
a-
with your flow.
Okay. May I ask you just one more question?
I suppose it is probably possible that you could.
Does or does not the Khandriana work? And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Well, since you want to keep it so mysterious.
It's not mysterious.
No?
No.
It's mysterious to you. Why don't you know whether it works or not?
I have seen it work, but
Well,
the general
then.
public has not seen it work.
That's because it only works on a certain level. The idea is that certain devices and certain ideas will work for individuals who are of like vibration. For individuals who are not of that vibration, no, there will be no effect at all. But the idea is not that that is
No.
good or bad.
No, the serum, there is no one direct serum. It's individual. It comes right out of you and back into you with the Khandriana.
Yes, but that doesn't make any difference. Individuals are self-perpetuating. And no matter what the system is, you will still find that there will be individuals for whom it will be effective and for whom it will not. It depends upon the personal vibration and the willingness of the individual to look at that as a feasible reality for themselves. The process itself is not the key. It is only what the process represents of the willingness to face the self, absorb and accept the true self. That's what the process symbolizes. Does that make sense to you? By taking out of yourself and putting back into yourself is an opportunity to learn to accept the true self. There is a change that goes on in that process. And what vibration it winds up being when reintroduced determines everything about whether there is alignment and the creation of effectiveness or not. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
It all came out of the light.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I was wondering if I could ask you to come and give me a visit. And
At
if you-
this time, we are not the kind of species who will physiologically introduce ourselves to your society, though we visit all of you, many of you, in the dream state quite often. It is not yet the appropriate time for physiological visitations.
How about some other beings? Can they?
You will have to ask them.
Okay, now my question. Do you personally believe in God? And if so, how and who have created him?
Are you paying attention to the conversation we have had earlier where we mentioned the infinite?
Yes.
Does that not explain to you the concept also that you call God?
I'm too skeptical when it comes to certain things. I like to
Our
study.
idea of what your planet very often calls God would be perhaps more precisely stated as all that is. To us, all that is consciousness itself. It is aware of itself as one thing, one being, that is all that is. It is also simultaneously aware of itself as everything in creation that it created from itself. There is no separation for us in our view of the one infinite all that is consciousness. For us, Everything is one thing expressing itself in a multidimensional frame of reference. So, it is a given for us that it exists because that's the only quality existence has. Nothing created it because that implies a before. Existence has only one quality. It is. It exists. It doesn't know how to do anything else. It always has existed and it always will. Nothing came before it to create it. Creation is within the concept of all that is. All that is not subject to the concept of creation. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Does that answer the question sufficiently?
Mm,
Where else would you like to take it?
no, respectfully, I just don't digest that. I just don't.
All right. Shall we take a different approach? Let's attempt another angle at this. Our idea is that if there is consciousness at all, which obviously there is, or you wouldn't exist and we wouldn't exist and we would not be having this conversation. Follow me so far?
Yes.
Obviously there is consciousness. Obviously there is existence. Yes?
Yes.
Well, existence is one quality. It's one of the absolutes. There are only 4 absolutes in existence, in creation. Number 1 is simply that existence exists. It never becomes non-existence. Non-existence is its own quality. That which exists does not become non-existent. Isness only knows how to be. It doesn't know how to not be. It only is. Never does isness become not. So, that's true of everything everywhere. Whatever exists is the quality of beingness. Everything is one thing in that. But there are different perspectives, different ways that that oneness has of seeing itself or experiencing itself. Every being, every place, every different thing is only different because it is a different frequency of the same one energy. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Just like visible light on your planet. You know there is red, you know there is orange, you know there is yellow, you know there is green, blue, indigo, violet. You know there are invisible frequencies of light below that particular spectrum. You know there are invisible frequencies of light above that particular spectrum. It's all electromagnetic energy. The only reason that red is red and yellow is yellow is because they are different frequencies. So, the only reason that you are you and I am I is because we are different frequencies of the one energy of existence itself. That's what we call all that is. There is no outside to it. There is nothing beyond it. There is no concept of beyond all that is. It is infinite. Now, does that make some sense?
Yes.
Does that answer the question sufficiently?
Yes. Now, since we were so serious, I'm going to ask you a personal question.
Oh, all right.
How is your sex life?
Thank you. It is perfect.
Good.
However, in our society at this time, even though we had procreated in our past, similarly to the way that you procreate on your planet, it is now for us mostly an energy act because our species is evolving into a non-physical species. And we no longer really bond in the same way. Believe me, it is every bit as enjoyable. But the idea is that now we simply can intermesh energetically rather than exactly physiologically in the same way that we used to in the way that you still do at present.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
You're cool. Let's see.
Let's see. That's a very good idea.
What type of contact have I had in the past?
Who says you had any?
Well, last time I was here, I was talking to you about...
I did, yes, thank you. That's all you have to say. Okay. You did.
You did.
I have already even told all of you in this gathering that you have all had contact, but you don't remember.
Well, like the time that I told you about last time, my name is
Yes.
Zachary Bebek. When I woke up and there was that buzzing and I couldn't move,
Yes,
what energy was working with me at that time?
The vibrational energy can actually be representative of a few different things. Number one, many times the species, again referred to generally, collectively, although there are many factions within it, as the Greys, will, when seeking to interact with a member of your species, invoke an energy field that does have the effect of paralyzing you so that you can be transferred to their reality more easily. And that vibration continues to create a paralysis simply because you are transferring from one dimension to another and don't have the wherewithal or the experience to know how to move around in that dimension. That vibration, that buzzing, is the passage of your frequency, the audible sensation of the passage of your frequency being elevated from one level to another. And it has a tendency to paralyze your physiological form because you don't know how to relate to it. You don't know how to motivate yourself in that dimension yet, or in that transition. Sometimes they will do this on purpose simply because it makes it easier to deal with you, and you're not flailing about while they are interacting with you.
Cool. And why did I hallucinate when that was happening?
It is not really a hallucination exactly, although it was to some degree in effect. The idea is that energy vibration will interact and impact upon certain areas of the brain, will extract from those areas imagery that is representative of looking into other dimensions of experience, and create scenarios that can seem to be projections before your eyes of different physical manifestations. It impacts your neurological system in a very, very specific way that can induce what you call hallucinations, but in reality are perceptions of other dimensional realities that you simply don't relate to.
Okay. During a meditation on your ship,
yes,
I saw beings with like really long arms, and they didn't look like the Greys or the Zetas.
They were tall and skinny?
Yeah, and their heads like kind of like went out really fat, like their brains were bulging out of their skulls.
Did they seem to have what you would call a more insect or mantis-like appearance?
Yeah, like really long and skinny.
Yes. This is generally what is referred to as the mantis. They are, in essence, actually what might be called the founder beings. They are, shall we simply say for now, in charge of the entire agenda that is going on in what you call the abduction phenomenology. They are the ones at the top.
But they weren't really like all that tall. I mean, they're long and skinny.
Yes, I know they're long and skinny. They are still the ones in charge and the ones at the top.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Speaking about the gamma consciousness.
Gamma consciousness, yes.
Is this...
One moment.
Okay.
Excuse us, please. We wish to allow individuals to understand what this means. Many of you already are familiar with the idea that your normal waking consciousness state has been measured in brainwave activity that is called the beta level, and that when you sink below that frequency, slow down your brainwave activity, it goes into alpha, it goes into theta, it goes into delta. There is a level below that now, which we have termed the gamma frequency. And when you get in touch with that, you get in touch with the totality of your being and every cellular memory that you could possibly possess. And it allows you to bridge between the idea of parallel time tracks. So, proceed.
Okay, what I was going to ask you is this the consciousness where we realize ourselves to be complete holographic images of creation?
Yes.
Okay.
And by getting in touch with that frequency, you can become one with the matrix called the Akashic fabric that contains the total information of the holographic structure of existence. It is in that gamma frequency that you access the totality of all that is.
Is this possible to reach this frequency by a deep meditation?
Yes, it is.
Okay. One more question, quickly. What is this continual popping in my right ear?
One moment. Have you sought any assistance for this particular phenomenon?
Yes.
What has already been done?
I
Or
was-
what suggestions have already been made?
I was told that I had an implant behind my neck that had shifted, and a friend of mine tried to remove it psychically, and ever since she did that, it's been popping.
Do you have a friendly and, in your estimation, trustworthy chiropractor?
Yes.
Go and see them.
Okay.
It will be of assistance to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
I'm fine. Just wanted to ask you, my dad died October 15th, and is it by will or is it by...
It is by timing.
By timing.
By chosen timing generally. The timing can vary to some degree. The idea of timing doesn't necessarily mean time. It means timing in the context that certain agendas are felt by the Spirit to have come to completion.
And does he keep in touch with us?
Yes, always.
Is he what we would call heaven, or is he close by or far away? His name is Pat Tikuya.
It is, again, a matter of vibration. Heaven, in that sense, is not a place, it is a state. You understand?
Yes.
All of these concepts you have of afterlife, anything is possible to be experienced, and it all depends upon the frequency and the vibration of the consciousness as to what they experience, all the way from the range of what you call the ultimate heaven to the ultimate hell. It's all possible. It's just a matter of frequency. As you think, so you experience. So remember what we said about there being no time lag?
Yes.
So, depending upon the focus of those individuals who have died will depend upon whether they are, shall we say, vibrationally close or vibrationally far. It is possible for them to have a kind of focus that may make it seem as if they are out of touch for a while. But if you think of them at all and send them a burst of love vibrational energy, remember, there are not the barriers and limitations there that do exist in your physical reality. And any time you think of them in a loving manner, anytime you feel them in your heart, they receive the energy. They will then come when it is appropriate for them to come, and more often than not, they will be there relatively immediately.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My name is Mark.
Oh, all right, if you insist. Such conviction.
Okay.
If all of you would develop that level of conviction in your lives to all the things you would love to do, as easily as you say, my name is so-and-so, believe me, things would flow a lot more easily.
Before I ask a couple of questions of you,
Yes.
I'd like to give you a little background and basis for those questions.
Oh, all right. Tell us a story.
In 1968, while attending college in California, I attended sessions of hypnotic regression for research on past lives.
Yes.
During those sessions, I find out that I had several lives.
Well, most of you have.
Yes. Most recent was a Marine corporal who died on the island of Tarawa in 1943.
All right. There are many incarnational now who have had death experiences in what you call your World War II, including the Channel.
Yes. I realize that most of those past lives will help you in your present and your future lives.
They can. It isn't absolutely necessary, but they can give you some insight into some of the energy dynamics that may exist at present within you. But it is not like you absolutely have to do that in order to have all the understanding that it is possible for you to have at present.
Yes. My question is, in my next life, will I realize my full potential?
Are you going to have a next life?
I hope so.
Why?
I feel it's a natural progression.
Well,
for
it can
human
be,
beings, yes.
but it's always a choice.
Yes.
You can realize your full potential right now.
Yes.
This instant. This instant.
Is there a time that there will be an end?
No.
No.
You will always be expanding, always, 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 forever.
I get the point.
But in different ways, at different times. It doesn't always necessarily involve the concept of incarnation. Now, you can choose to have another physiological life on the earth. You can choose to have physiological lives and have in other civilizations. You can choose to stay in non-physical reality and interact in a variety of ways in different dimensional levels, including different dimensional levels of Earth. You will make that decision when you feel it is appropriate. This is the transformational age on your planet now that by definition means that most of you, and especially those who are intentionally on what you might call spiritual growth paths now and are conscious of that fact, most of you have the capability of, shall we say, wrapping up and resolving the cycles of other incarnations in this present incarnation, and then truly knowing you are free to really choose just about anything beyond that, because you will have completed a very important long-term cycle in your incarnational series. But you will make that decision when you are through with this life.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Now then, what is it that you are excited about doing in this present life?
In this present life? You would ask.
I have been known to do so.
Yeah.
Is there
Well,
something that excites you more than anything else that you
Well,
are
I think
not
helping
doing?
people, I believe that's...
How?
I do that in many ways by just living my life as best I can.
That is true. But is there some particular thing that you would care to share? Some dream that you feel that you would rather be doing that you are not yet acting on?
Yeah, I would. I'd like to change professions.
Into what?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, yes, you do.
Maybe the private sector.
Maybe what?
And the private sector is...
Oh, just spit it out. If you could do anything, what would you rather do?
Well, I was educated in psychology.
You're not answering my question.
No, I know, but...
If you could do anything, the most exciting thing you could imagine, and knew without qualification beyond a shadow of a doubt that it would support you and you were free to choose anything, what would you choose?
Politics.
All right. Start. Make your mark.
Thank you.
Thank you. Remember, the best way to really be your best is to be yourself, your real self, which includes the highest vision and dreams you have, which are indicative of your true self, your true energy. Thank you. Everyone on your planet makes a difference, has an impact. Everyone, every moment, every little thing you do, every time you change a thought, everything changes. Do I mean just a few things? Take me literally in the broadest context of the term, everything. You are like a gear connected to all the other gears. Even if you make what you perceive to be a tiny little turn, all the other gears must move. So it's a totally different reality. Every one of you has impact, total impact. When you become conscious of that, not in an egotistical way, in a joyful way of expanded excitement and creation, by acting on your dreams, by living your dreams, knowing the universe will support you because it always has, then you will be in alignment with yourself and things will flow. Remember, the universe has always supported you, even if it has to support you in your belief that it can't. You understand? If you believe you cannot be supported, the universe supports you by reinforcing the reality that shows you you can't be supported by the universe. So you are being supported. When you know the universe is always supporting you, then you will know that anything you choose to do that is representative of your joy and love will be as equally supported. Remember, it isn't that you're only using 5% of your brain. You're using 100% to make it appear as if you're only using 5. So, stop playing that game and start living your dreams. Just a suggestion. Sharing.
Hark to, Bashar.
Hark to.
Bashar, my question is about on Atlantis.
Yes.
The genetic manipulations that took place.
Yes.
Did they mutate the species, and to what degree did they mutate it?
Yes, but it was a relatively, shall we say, limited stock that was mutated. It did not go out into the general population. There were many different kinds of experiments. Obviously, you would label some of these as positive and some of them as quite negative. Some of these experimentations of blending and breeding and genetic manipulations and alterations eventually gave rise to some of the mythological creatures in your society, such as mermaids and centaurs, which were actual creations back then.
Actual physical creations?
Yes, they were physical experimentations. Many of these beings that were created were then utilized by many negative elements in that society as slaves. Eventually, they broke free of that, but at great cost.
All right, what I'm trying to do is coordinate that idea with the
Yes.
idea of the Anunnaki creating...
That's different. To some degree, that's different. The Anunnaki are simply offshoot Lyrans, which is the home world of the human race in this section of the galaxy. The Anunnaki were simply an offshoot branch of very ancient Lyrans who came and decided that they would require to create a species upon the Earth out of the evolutionary species of humanoid ape that already existed naturally, and thus made genetic alterations to create the present human form, generally speaking, that could then, in that context, work for them. To some degree, there is a similar notion in what was done in Atlantean times, but not with the great degree of variation that experienced in Atlantean times.
So the offshoot Lyrans, they're the ones that genetically manipulated us, created us on this planet.
Yes.
And created us to a degree that we would only develop to a certain degree.
But there was something that occurred.
What occurred?
There was the influx of other incarnations, and there was the interaction with other species that brought about your recognition of who and what you were, and allowed you the consciousness that let them know that you were no longer something to be controlled. Things got out of hand, and they decided to leave you on the planet and see what happened. Since then, of course, there have been many admixtures, many interactions between many different kinds of species, especially in Atlantean times, and of course many different incarnations from many different stellar systems that has added a rich diversity to your planet that is representative as a melting pot from many different galactic species.
I understand that. What I'm trying to get a handle on is now you've identified this particular group of Anunnaki as offshoot Lyrans.
Yes.
Okay, now what they did...
Remember that Anunnaki was the Earth term.
Yes, I understand that.
All right.
I know. What other groups of civilizations more or less intermingled, contributed to
Pleiadian.
this in a controlling way?
Well,
Who
in
were
a
the ones-
controlling way, Orion.
Orion.
Some aspects of Sirius that were negative in physiological form, and a few others which shall not be mentioned at this time.
All right, the Orion.
Yes.
Let's get into that. Where are they from?
Some
What
of
part
the
of Orion?
stellar systems of Orion, primarily, again, the ancient homeworld of Huva, which would be around the star you would recognize as Mintaka,
Okay, how about Rigel?
and some with Rigel later on.
Okay, any others from Orion, or is that basically it?
Not physiologically. Incarnationally, yes, from a few other systems.
All right, you also said that Las Vegas had a high Orion
Yes.
connection?
As do many desert areas on your planet.
Right.
It is simply a conducive vibration that acts as a vortex or a gate for certain frequencies in the Orion energy and makes it more conducive for incarnation in that area or relocation to that area to allow certain things to happen in the life, positive and or negative.
More or less it attracts you like a magnet if you do live
Exactly.
here. Okay, and how about a Syrian vortex?
Syrian vortex would be, again, any dolphin in the ocean, strongly connected to Sirius energy, strongly. Also, certain areas of what you call your African continent, South American continent. In your North American continent, you will find that there are some very strong Syrian connections in your Florida area, in your Bahama area, and some of what you call your California coast, and also a little bit farther north.
Okay, well, I'm from New York. What about New York?
Not specifically Syrian, no.
Or what specifically? Is that Orion
There is
again?
quite a mixture. There is some Syrian, a lot of Orion, some Pleiadian, Arcturus, many different kinds of admixtures in what you call your New York City.
Okay, and also I wanted to ask you about the stellar waves.
Yes.
I've read a book where it says we're evolving a new chakra system, and the stellar wave antenna.
It isn't a
forming-
new chakra system. You are simply expanding into the one you have that you have not been utilizing the totality of. It is similar to what we talked about as the expansion of the prime radiant, in that there are chakra centers that exist above and below your physical body in energy format. You are now expanding into those as you expand your consciousness.
All right, and what about the shift this year, 95?
What about it?
Could you expand on it and tell us what we could more or less expect or
As we have already
anticipate?
said, this is the breakthrough year. So in that sense, things that have been, shall we say, being worked on for quite some time shall finally break through if you continue to take physical actions, not just let things happen, but take responsibility and continue to take actions in the direction of your excitement. This will be the year that for many of you will have profound breakthroughs in increased magnitude of physiological manifestation.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I would like to ask you if you can tell us about the incident that happened on July 16th, past year, around Jupiter. We read several sources of information concerning something going towards Jupiter. And
You are
there's a
talking
lot-
about what you call in your language the Shoemaker-Levy comet.
Yes.
And the impact.
Yes.
The idea symbolically, in that the heavens reflect changes in your collective consciousness, not control it, reflect it. Astrologically, the planets do not rule you or control you. They are simply vibrations that reflect the changes of timing going on in your collective consciousness. This impact of these so-called cometary fragments is the symbolization of the fragmented consciousness on your planet being reabsorbed by the oversoul self so that you can have breakthroughs and act in a more holistic, total manner on your planet. You have crossed a threshold where you're beginning to act more like a holistic race, more like holistic individuals, instead of having been fragmented into different consciousness and psychological components as you have been for thousands of years, thousands of cycles. Does that make sense to you?
I was looking at the strictly physical aspect of the incident, where
Yes.
we are told many stories, scientific allegations concerning a real comet, and some sources say there was no real comet, and we have here a formation of 21 pieces of a comet that allegedly exploded, and the question is why an exploding comet assumes a military position. All its fragments are in perfect military alignment, heading directly towards Jupiter.
This is
that
simply
not
gravitational mechanics. There are many things that you do not yet understand about gravitational mechanics that are going on in your system. Cometary fragments very often will explode from a parent comet and line up very precisely because of the nature of their density and how they ride the gravitational waves in your system. You must understand that the gravitational waves in your system are very, very, very regular, very ordered, and have quite a very specific pulsation that makes it appear as if certain kinds of fragments could gravitationally or mechanically line up in precision formation. You will also begin to understand in time that the galaxy, that different star systems the way they appear to you, the positions they appear in, are not where they are at all. Many of the stars you think are so far away are actually closer. Some that are appearing to be closer are much farther away. There is much gravitational bending that distorts the way you see the pattern of the heavens. And when you actually finally get out there among the stars, it's going to take a very different shape when you actually find out that the light from all these stars has been distorted and crisscrossed in many different directions. The constellational patterns don't actually look the way you think they do at all. So, similarly, the idea of some of these things going on in the celestial mechanics, even within your solar system, are representative of the kind of patterns that gravitational waves and what we actually call the prime radiant template, which is a geometric pattern that underlies the physical fabric of your dimensional reality, actually promotes these kinds of phenomenology. You could have allowed yourselves and can allow yourselves to see by this precision alignment that there exists an actual underlying energy template to your physical reality that is very, very precisely geometric. That is the clue that it was there to show you. It was not an artificial envoy, if that is what many people have implied.
Okay.
Does that make some sense to you?
Well, I have no comment.
Oh, all
Thank
right.
you, Bashar. Thank you.
Does what we have said make some sense?
Yes, but I still stick to the theory that there was intelligence force behind this.
There is
alignment.
an intelligence behind the alignment, but not the intelligence of a particular species. It is the inherent intelligence in the collective consciousness of all of you. In the same way that there is intelligence behind the phenomenology on your planet you call the crop circles. Are you familiar with that?
Slightly.
All right. This is the result of a collective group of interacting intelligences, including your own collective Earth intelligence, to lay out these very precise geometric patterns in some of the crop fields around your planet, and very specifically in England. It is, in that sense, taking advantage of natural principles of sacred geometry. It is, in that sense, intelligently directed to some degree, or reflective of intelligence, but not the idea in the way that you meant it. It is reflective of the intelligence, the inherent interactive intelligence that actually forms your physical reality. That is what we mean.
So, is there any repercussion on our planet Earth?
The repercussion
this,
is in the awakening of the consciousness that this event represents. That you can begin to see the underlying pattern of what your consciousness really is all about and how you create physical reality with your consciousness.
Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you. There will be but a moment remaining for this interaction.
Hi, Bashar. I'll make this really quick. I chant. I practice true Buddhism.
All right.
Okay, tomorrow's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I'm a Capricorn sun and a Capricorn moon. And I've noticed over the past year and a half, I've been chanting more than I ever have in my whole life. And a lot of negative stuff is coming out of my life, like even constant letters from the IRS. My financial situation is really, really bad.
Congratulations. Remember, this cycle is all about taking back responsibility and acting as an equal.
Do I have to purge? I mean, I know in Buddhism that's...
You mean,
it's
do
like,
you need to transform?
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
You must take responsibility for everything going on in your life and find an imaginative and creative and loving way to be equal to it and make the statements that are representative of the kind of life you would prefer to have without the idea of engendering conflict.
Including financial and money issues.
Everything.
Okay, and just one more question. How can I develop more self-love from your perspective?
All right. Now, did you already hear what we have said about the idea of knowing that you are already made of unconditional love?
Yeah. But how can I feel it so that it's so that it's apparent in my
Do you exist?
surroundings? Yeah.
Do you exist?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Don't hesitate.
That threw me. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure.
All right, thank you very much. Do you think that if you were not unconditionally loved by creation, that you would exist? If you were not unconditionally loved, believe me, you wouldn't exist.
Okay, it's just lately because it hasn't always been a picnic lately. I'm questioning. I mean, when times are good, it's like, I can answer you immediately. And
It is when you face the greatest challenges that you know you are unconditionally loved, because all that is loves you so unconditionally, it has given you the free will to create these challenges for yourself. You can do anything, be anything. That's how unconditionally loved you are. All that is loves you so unconditionally, it even allows you to believe that you are not unconditionally loved. That's how much you are loved. Total freedom do you have, even to feel unloved. If you know that, you will recognize how loved, how free, how supported you are in anything. It's your choice to be who you wish to be, to feel how you wish to feel. Make the choice. Live that way, act that way. Be that you. Be that frequency. Create it. You are a creator being, a reflection of the infinite creator. Create it. Live that way. Be that state of vibration, that frequency. Frequency.
Right.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Be it. Be excited about being you. Are you? Hesitation means no.
Sometimes I go in and out.
But see, that's the point. That's the point. You are making the choice to only be sometimes excited. You can be excited all the time, no matter what the challenge is. You can treat everything in your life as a challenge, as an opportunity, and by treating it as such and allowing it to remain in that vibration, you will see that it is. It will extract from those circumstances and situations only the things that will show you, that will prove to you that they are opportunities and not obstacles. Okay. It's you that determines that they are felt like obstacles by denying that they are a part of your excitement. You define
That's
them
true. Yeah.
as difficult, and so of course they are. Be imaginative. Be creative. It's what you are best at. Don't deny your talents. Do you understand this?
Thank you. Yeah, I do.
Thank you. At this timing, we will add one idea. It was, in this sense, discussed a little bit earlier about the idea of spacecraft. We will add some technological nomenclature. All extraterrestrials do not have the same kind of spacecraft, nor do they build them in the same way, nor are they made out of the same materials. But there are a variety of methodologies. One that exists shows that the hull of certain, what you call disk craft, have a high content of magnesium, silver, gold, copper, nickel, created in an argon atmosphere, created as a powder induced into a crystalline silicon matrix when it is in liquid form and allowed to cool, evenly dispersed as a powder throughout that silicon matrix. That is one idea of one kind of craft hull. In our society, however, in the creation of such crafts, it was the idea of the generation of an energy template first that allowed the craft and the material of a crystalline metallic substance to be grown upon that energy field in very thin strata. Those energy fields were actually dimensions unto themselves. And in growing a shell on that dimensional shape, by being grown in that dimension, that metal, no matter how thin, can only exist in that shape and can never be bent. For being bent would mean it's going in another dimension, and it cannot do that. The idea is to simply recognize, first of all, that you do not necessarily need exotic material to build electrogravitic and magnetic levitation crafts, even with your technology. Many of you are already exploring and experimenting with these ideas of how to amplify the electromagnetic field on your planet, and many individuals in your history have already understood these principles of levitation electromagnetically, one of them being the being that you call Nikola Tesla. Explore and expand upon that work, and the work now being done by many other individuals, one of which in Canadian terms is called your David Hutchinson. These beings are on the right track to the creation of levitation discs, and you will find also that an individual named Searle is also proceeding perhaps in an albeit complex but still nevertheless correct direction. Explore all these ideas on your planet and you will find that you're not so far away from creating similar technology to what you call the flying saucer. Now, of course, many of your governmental factions, in that they have had their hands on different flying craft, are a little bit farther ahead in that way and have had some successful flights of some of these craft experimentally. But still, they are not capable of translating interdimensionally at will, or at least not smoothly. When they have, it has been quite accidental, and the repercussions have not been exactly what they had hoped. However, the idea to understand is that traveling in space is actually traveling within, not just sliding around on the surface as your rocket ships do. Traveling within implies that you need a great degree of integration and balance. And only when you allow yourself and your consciousness to be integrated and whole will you then be inspired by the information necessary to represent the kind of technology that would reflect that integrative process and allow you to truly travel as space, not in it, as space. For that is what we do. We redefine the vibrational idea of ourselves and our craft. And many civilizations have gotten to the point where they can do this without a craft at all, the craft only being a symbol of the extension of consciousness. You redefine the vibration that you are, recognize that the whole concept of location in time and location in space is just a difference in vibrational frequency. And by redefining the frequency of the craft to that of a frequency of a particular location, you simply cease to exist at the location that was represented by the old frequency and immediately start to exist at the location represented by the new frequency. There are technological ways to do this. Mostly you understand that our spacecraft are not really traveling in space, but are simply resonating cavities that recreate the totality of space microcosmically within the environment of the craft itself. There will be more on this information when we know that your technology can handle it. But simply understand that the technology begins with your understanding of yourself. Otherwise, you will simply not get that far, because as we have said, when you go out into space, space is not structured as you think it is or see it to be from your planet of Earth, due to many different patterns of energy and gravitational dynamics that your society knows nothing about. So even if you were to get out there, even by the methodologies you employ, you would become quickly lost, because the universe would all of a sudden not look like you think it looks. So, once again, at this time, we remind you, the first journey is into yourself. If you wish to know anything, technological, spiritual, emotional, anything, the first journey is to know yourself. Be yourself. Excitement, joy, acting on it. The vibration of excitement is the vibration of your real self, of your real consciousness. Act on it and you will be aligned with yourself, and the universe can support you in that way instead of supporting you in your doubts, which it has no choice but to do. So, that is how it was designed, that is how it is designed, that is always how it shall be designed. All the principles of existence, all four of the basic laws of creation are there. You exist. The all is one, the one is all. What you put out is what you get back. And except for the first three, change is the only constant. That's it. Build your reality on that foundation. Those four corners are the absolute stability of existence. We thank you once again for allowing our species at this time to interact through this doorway in this way. There will be many more such conversations in this way, and shortly, as we have said, no later than your year of 2011, 2013, we will be interacting with you physiologically in many different ways, but do not wait for that, for it will not happen if you do not meet us halfway by being the vibration of a reality in which such a meeting is possible. Make the changes on your planet that are indicative of the kind of reality you want by doing the things in your own individual lives that are representative of the kind of person you want to be. That's what has the impact on the total reality. We thank you. Our unconditional love to all of you, and to all of you a fond, exciting, creative, wonderful dream life, because you are dreaming your life into existence right now. Good day.